Good evening and welcome to our midweek prayer session. Today for our consideration, we're going to read from the book of Mark. We're going to consider a very popular story that we find in the book of Mark, chapter 10, reading from verse 46. Now they came to Jericho. As he went out of Jericho with his disciples, a great multitude, blind Bartimaeus, the son of Timaeus, sat by the road begging. And when he heard that it was Jesus of Nazareth, he began to cry out and say, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. Then many warned him to be quiet, but he cried out all the more, Son of David, have mercy on me. I'm just going to start from verse 46. There are a few lessons that I want us to draw from the story of Bartimaeus. Of late, my favorite hymn has been Rescue the Perishing. And it says, rescue the perishing, duty demands it. I like the stanza that says, rescue the perishing, duty demands it. So Jesus is passing through Jericho, and if you read correctly the English, it says a great multitude. Then there's a comma and it says, Bartimaeus, the son of Timaeus. So it means there was a great multitude. Then amongst the great multitude, there was one person who was mentioned by name, who is Bartimaeus. Everyone else was put in the same context as great multitude. But Bartimaeus' name is mentioned by name. So Jesus is passing through, and then a great multitude, and then there's Bartimaeus. And when he heard, my Bible says, and when he heard that it was Jesus. How did he hear that it was Jesus? Because remember, Bartimaeus could not see. So I'm supposing Bartimaeus must have asked to say, what is happening? What is the noise? Where is the noise coming from? And someone said to Bartimaeus, it is Jesus. Here comes our first lesson, that as we are passing through, as Jesus is passing through the earthly Jericho, as Jesus is passing through the earth, there are a lot of people that are around us. We've got a lot of blind Bartimaeus that are within us, that are around us, that are waiting for us to answer them when they ask what is happening. Because Bartimaeus, by virtue of being blind, he could not tell what was happening. All he could hear was that there was some commotion, there was some noise. And we have a world that is around us that is hearing that there's something that is happening. They are seeing things happening. There is a lot of sickness in the world. They are seeing the COVID cases coming up and going down and all that. And they are saying, what is happening? And they are relying on someone who's within the great multitude to answer them, to say what is happening, for they cannot see on their own. So Bartimaeus asked what is happening, and someone tells him that it's Jesus. And it was only when he was told that it was Jesus that he then cries out and he says, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. I just want to challenge us this week that whatever, I don't know which Jericho you are passing through or which Jericho that you are in, but I'm assuming there are people, there's a blind Bartimaeus somewhere in that Jericho that you are in. As Jesus is passing through this earth and doing whatever that he's doing on this earth, there's someone who's waiting upon you to tell him what is happening so that they can start to cry out to Jesus. So our first lesson is that we need to remember that as we are passing through, there is a blind Bartimaeus that needs and that is relying on us to tell them what is happening and to tell them of Jesus. And then, so Bartimaeus says, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. Then verse 48 says, then men warned him to be quiet, but he cried out the more, Son of David, have mercy on me. On this verse, I just want to address, perchance there is a blind Bartimaeus who is amongst us. And as you are going to cry out and ask that the Son of David might have mercy on you, whatever it is that you are going through, people have a tendency of silencing people when they try to reach out for their salvation. You remember the story of the soldier whose child was sick, and they said to him, don't bother the master, for the child is dead. There are a lot of people who come to us and they will tell us, just like they did to blind Bartimaeus, to say, don't bother him, or you're making a lot of noise. The disciples were even worried that he was disturbing Jesus. So as we are going through life, we need to cry out even more, even when people try to silence us, when we are crying out to the Master. And then verse 49 is my darling text. It says, so Jesus stood still and commanded him to be called. For me, this is a chance or this is a time when you see the Jesus that we worship. So whilst blind Bartimaeus could not see, he has asked, and he found a good Samaritan who told him it was Jesus. He cries out, and then it says, Jesus stood still. For me, this is a challenge. This is something that just changes everything. When Jesus stands still because you have called out to him. So we have a Jesus who cares so much for each and every one of us, even as we are amongst the multitude. That when we cry out to him, he is going to stand still. It doesn't matter what you are going through. It doesn't matter how insignificant you are amongst the people that you are with. But Jesus will stand still when you cry out to him. I just want to challenge each and every one of us to say, whatever it is that you're going through, as we are starting this week, as we are doing whatever he's doing, if Jesus could stand still for blind Bartimaeus, he is going to stand still also for you. One person once said that we should cease from saying Jesus died for us. And we should make it very personal. He has died for you as a person because you matter to him. And I want to tell everyone and tell someone who's listening, who's going through whatever that they are going through in this life, that you matter to Jesus. And when you call out to him, he is going to stand still. So verse 49 says, Then they called him, blind men. Then they called the blind man, saying to him, Be of good cheer, rise, he is calling you. The same people that had been telling Bartimaeus to be quiet, and because Jesus stood still and he has paid attention to someone who seemingly seemed to be unimportant, they suddenly realized that this person matters to Jesus. And the same people again saying to him, Be of good cheer, he is calling you. So I would want to say to everyone, to anyone who's watching me, who is hearing me today, that whatever it is that you're going through, the things that you've been going through in life, be of good cheer. He is calling you. There is no time, there has never been a record where someone has cried out to Jesus and he was ignored. And my Bible says, Be of good cheer, rise, he is calling you. So whatever it is that you're going through, I'm saying to you today, rise, he is calling you. And verse 50 then says, And throwing aside his garment, he rose and came to Jesus. I don't know what garment blind Bartimaeus was wearing, but there was something that he was wearing, and it was meant to cover him. And for some reason, when you also read through, there was a garment that was meant for blind people. So at this point, I'm assuming it could be that one of the garments that blind Bartimaeus was wearing, or it was just his general garments. But what does he do when he hears that Jesus is calling him? Blind Bartimaeus does not just simply go to Jesus. He gets up and he threw away his garment. He didn't take it off slowly. He didn't just take off his garments, but he threw away his garments. And then he ran towards Jesus. What am I saying to you today? I don't know what garment you're wearing. I don't know what garment they've put on you. I don't know what garment they have identified you with. But when Jesus calls you, it calls for each and every one of us to get up, throw away that garment, and then as we run to Jesus. Some of us are wearing the garments of different sins. Some of us are known as drunkards. Some of us are known as, cruel people, whatever it is that they have called you, or whatever it is that you have brought upon yourself. If it is a garment that you have bought for yourself, or it's a garment that they have given you by virtue of your position or who you are. But my Bible is telling me today is, when he calls us, we need to get up like blind Bartimaeus and throw away that garment and run towards Jesus. Verse 51 says, So Jesus answered and said to him, What do you want me to do for you? The blind man said to him, Rabboni, that I may receive my sight. So as Jesus calls us, and we get up and we throw away our garments of sin, Jesus has got one answer, one question for us. And he says, What is it that you want me to do? I'm just calling each and every one of us that may we be brave enough to say to Jesus that I may receive sight. Remember, blind Bartimaeus was amongst the multitude. He was hearing all the noises, and he had to rely on someone to tell him what was happening. But because blind Bartimaeus is now tired of relying on someone to tell him what is happening, Jesus asked him, "What do you want me to do for you?" And he was very clear. He asked Jesus that I might receive sight. And I'm thinking this is because blind Bartimaeus was tired of just having to ask and rely on people to tell him what was happening, and therefore even risking being, missing some of the things that would be happening because people decide not to answer him. And he says that I may receive my sight. So as we move away from our lives of sin, as we take away the garments that we've been putting on that are wrong, let's ask Jesus that he might remove, that he might give us back our sight, that we might have our sight restored, that when he is passing through Jericho the next time or whatever happens, we might be able to see him on our own. And I would like to thank God for Bartimaeus, because I am sure every other time that Jesus was passing through, Bartimaeus would also, like everyone else, be able to witness that Jesus is passing through. May we all go to Jesus and ask that we might have our sight restored, or we might be healed from this blindness that we have, so that when he's passing through, when he's doing whatever he's doing, may we never miss sight of Jesus. Then verse 52 says, "Then Jesus said to him, 'Go your way, your faith has made you well.' And immediately he received his sight and followed Jesus on the road." So this is the end of our reading. Bartimaeus has received his sight. Not only did he receive his sight, and if it was some of us, you'd then receive your sight and you decide maybe to go back and sit down, and I don't know, he would have asked to go to the cinema because, look, this is a person who's just had his sight restored. But what does blind Bartimaeus do? After his sight had been restored, he followed Jesus. I don't know what you've been through. I don't know what you've been going through throughout this week. But when Jesus restores your sight, there is one thing that he would be very happy, is to have you follow him. So some of us, we are still in the process of throwing our garments away, but we are being called that as our sight is being restored, may we, like blind Bartimaeus, get up and follow Jesus. Thank you very much. May the Lord add a blessing to the reading of his word.